not ready for COVID themed things. Although I hear Eddington is controversial, so I want to see it.
I don't know much about any of it, but we're here to talk about old movies. So
take control. Do the introduction.
Okay, all right. I know. Otherwise, we'll just keep going down rabbit holes. All right.
Craigbot is running out of time, as you said.
No, we rebooted him. It's fine. He has no memory of the previous session. All right, we all ready. We're feeling good. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our second bonus video episode of Lights Camera Accolade, where we get to talk about our ongoing top fives. We have watched a lot of movies in between the first and the second one. So many. Whenever I try and count how many movies we have watched and will watch for this podcast, I just stop myself from doing that math because I'm like, that's a lot. That's too many movies to even.
My entire Letterboxd watch list is now just old Oscar movies.
Yeah, sorry.
You guys joke, but my YouTube recommendations now, it's all Myrna Loy, William Powell, The Real Story.
Yep.
I'm like, actually, I want to watch this.
Actually, yes.
Now
actually,
I'm interested
to watch later. And I feel like our demographic profile on YouTube is probably they must be 83 at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Starting to get AARP advertisements.
Did you know? So I learned this very recently. You can join AARP
at any age?
As soon as you're 30. Yeah, at any age. I am now an AARP.
I was making a joke.
No,
apparently,
become the old man that you always wanted to be.
You guys know by now I am.
Senior discounts now. So,
man, okay, that actually kind of depressed me though, because I found out about it at AT&T because they were like, "Oh, we partner with AARP for discounts," and we were like, "But we're obviously not seniors." But now that you say that it's 30 plus, it does still make me feel old because he sold it as no, you can sign up whenever. And
no, I think whenever. I might be wrong. It might be 18 or over. I don't know, but because
are you just scamming AARP?
No, 100%. It is totally fine.
Just got a fake ID, but for an old person. They're looking at it
no, because they can't discriminate based on age. So it's one of those things. So
all right, so everyone get your AARP perks.
Why am I suddenly thinking you're the person who has all the gift card things going on a trip, or you have a list of guys, we can get it for $15 less if we show up at this time.
Yeah, so long as we do part of the silver sneakers program or whatever.
You just have to be willing to the
it is
real
a good program. Yeah.
The real roadblock here is you simply have to be willing to say, yes, I'm an AARP member. So
I'll say whatever. Be how big is this discount?
I can try, but I think they'll be we don't believe it.
Oh, okay.
Look at this man.
Yeah, so full of.
Look at this boy.
Look at this boy. Look at this child.
The Jackie Cooper of my day.
Yeah.
True.
Well, now that we're all feeling sufficiently old, just a reminder that these movies are far older, so we can feel young again by watching these. So again, for people who don't know or who haven't watched the first video episode, I'm Sarah.
I'm Abby. Sorry, I usually always go last.
I know, but now, we switched up the order as well because everyone felt bad that I went last time, even though now the pressure is on. And it felt very much like when you're preparing in school for a speech, and you're just oh my God, the presentation is coming.
I'm just here is it even going to get to me? Maybe it'll be tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. You don't even have your
bell's
list
about
yet.
to ring.
You're working on your homework while everyone else is passing their assignment in. But okay, yeah. So just so people know, these lists are cumulative. So they might include some of the movies that were on our top fives in the first episode. They might not. A lot of the movies that we've watched in between have been really good. And a lot of them have been really not good. So we are also going to add a favorite dishonorable mention towards the end of this video as well. So stick in to see maybe which movies you shouldn't watch or should watch if you're really into hate watching stuff.
Don't.
With other people. Watching them together with other people is fun.
Yeah, depends. Depends which ones they are. But are we all ready to get started with our fifth favorite movie?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Here it is. All right. So my pick for number 5 was actually Lady for a Day. And I know Abby disliked that movie, but I know Jake liked it. And I think we're right on this one. I just found it so wholesome and funny. It was the first movie that we had watched that like consistently made me laugh throughout. So it holds like a special place in my heart. And I actually, when I visited home and I visited my parents, I watched it with my mom because I was just like, this was such a delightful movie. And it has like the nice kind of subplot of the mother-daughter bonding and like that sort of relationship. That's and everything. Sweet. So I love it.
Capra would be so proud.
Yeah, that like 100 years later, almost.
So what was Mama's review? Did she agree?
Yeah, she loved it. And she always like, I love watching comedies with her because she has such a like boisterous laugh that it's just like it increases your like enjoyment additionally. So it's great for comedies. Not the best when it's like supposed to be a drama or a tense moment and she just happens to be like taken out of it. So Mom, if you're watching this, also sometimes when we're in the theater, you know, and it's like War of the Worlds. The tense scene where the aliens were like tracking them down in the basement. She just, I don't know what she thought was so funny about that, but she cracked up in a silent theater. So yeah, we try and stick with comedies.
I love that. I love that so much.
Maybe it's a nervous laughter.
No, she just thought
she just has a
she got taken out of it. She just got taken out of it. But Lady for a Day, she loved.
I love when someone is in a theater and is the only person laughing. It brings me so much joy.
Me too.
You say that, but watching Zoolander 2 in a theater alone was one of the darkest experiences of my life. Let's just
wait, like you were literally by yourself in the theater?
I was in the last row in the theater. I was like, I fucking love Zoolander 1. I cannot wait to revisit the Zoolander world.
Yeah.
And like 20 minutes in, I'm like, I've made a huge mistake.
Oh no.
Anyway, Lady for a Day.
Lady for a Day. Lady for a Day. Yeah, no, I just loved it. I loved May Robson in that as Apple Annie. And just enjoyed all of it. I do agree still with our original discussion where it would have been nice to continue to focus more on the mother-daughter dynamic and her kind of going through her struggle to make sure that like she provides these good memories for her daughter and is able to like help her better herself, like get the marriage that she wants to get and everything, rather than going fully into the shenanigans side of things with like the crew trying to help her. But I did like that community coming together aspect of it too. So I just thought it was a great movie, very fun. And it's something that I think even if you're not really into like old movies or classic film, I still think that it is something that most people might be able to find something that they enjoy in it.
Well, do you want to attack Abby or should I support? Because I have plenty to say to support Sarah.
I think it's fine. Cool. Go for it.
Kind of the track that you took before. I never got the vibe that you said this is a bad movie. And I think that the things like Sarah just acknowledged that you mentioned were kind of like correct. Like we do move a little bit away from Apple Annie in the second half. And I think that's a bit of a loss for the movie. But overall, I just want to say I'm so glad, Sarah, that you included this film on your list because it was fighting for a spot on mine. And I actually, not to spoil anything, but I did not include it. So I'm really glad that we're.
I'm really glad. Apple Annie like this.
I know.
Well, I'm going to be honest. It's probably still was our first Frank Capra movie, and it's probably still my favorite Frank.
That was
going to
be my question: is how do you feel it holds up against the other Capra movies that you've watched since?
I guess the one that got the Best Picture Oscar with Big Eyes.
One Night.
Yeah, that was a really good movie. But for me personally, I love this movie. I love the ensemble element. I love we got some Guy Kibbe in there. We haven't seen him in a while, but he was there a couple years a lot, and he was really good. You see this great cast of zany characters all coming together, setting aside their criminal backgrounds, their feuds with each other to say, let's get together and do something nice for someone who has affected all of us in our own lives in a nice way. Let's be a community. And I think that really gets to the core of a lot of Frank Capra's pictures, his admiration, as we've talked about, for like the humble purity of American society, and it does it in a really compellingly funny way. And I just adore this movie. And now I'm going to steal your idea. I'm going to see if I can get my mom to watch it.
I bet she would really like it too.
Yeah.
And I think same, it is still my favorite Frank Capra movie that we've watched. I liked It Happened One Night. It's not something that I would rewatch necessarily.
Agreed.
And Lost Horizon, I don't know where that
I like Lost Horizon. It was weird, but it was cool.
It was different. It was different.
Kind of racist.
The Mr. Deeds,
Kind of racist.
just a little bit. Those are the only ones we've seen, right? Mr. Deeds. It happened.
Yeah, Mr. Deeds, Lost Horizon.
Yeah, that's the thing I can tell you.
Fine. Yeah,
There
but
are
this
no
one
Capra movies
genuinely
that I
love.
dislike. Yeah. I have not encountered a Capra movie that I'm like, fuck this movie. But
Right.
this one made me feel the best.
Yeah, and obviously I felt like it had rewatch value because I rewatched it, like 2 months later. So it's still very good.
Sure.
But all right, Abby, what is your number 5 pick?
My number 5 is The Smiling Lieutenant with
Oh,
our
it's
good friend Maurice.
Yay!
I also I think that it's probably the best. It's definitely the best Maurice movie we watched. It also has great roles for the women in it, including Big Eyes as the violinist, Claudette Colbert. So it's kind of fun to see. I know this, if you're just watching The Smiling Lieutenant, you might not see this, but kind of really fun to see her in that, and then see her in Cleopatra and It Happened One Night, and how her performances are really changing with kind of the style of the movies that are being made and that she's in. But mostly I just really liked Maurice in that movie. And I think it's a really interesting, kind of has a weird sexual dynamic between the women, which is cool. And I out of all the Maurice movies we watched, that was the best. And I think that it's such a what am I thinking? It's such a product of the time that it was made in, but in a fun way that I feel like is still relevant for you as a contemporary, as a person now looking back at some of those older movies. I think that's still one that's absolutely worth going back for.
It's very timeless. It kind of, I got Princess Diaries type vibe from it. And like you said, it's great to include a Maurice here because he was a man who is a big part of our lives on this podcast. We haven't seen him for a while.
I really miss him.
We know things by the late 30s are not going so well in Europe, so I think he might have been not smiling so much, and hopefully he wasn't conscripted as a lieutenant by that point. But the early stuff, you're right. This is top tier Maurice. It's like an intelligent movie. It's saying things to the audience that if you're smart enough to pick up on, you can really enjoy and sink your teeth into, and really ahead of its time, really.
I think the thing that really kind of brings it above the other Maurice movies that we watched is the characters actually have some depth and agency and stakes to them. It's not just they're not just showing up to do wacky sexcapade hijinks. Is they actually have real feelings and investment in what is happening to them. So which I'm giving to Claudette Colbert because she's her character in that has so much pathos. It's so excellent.
She's great.
Yeah, I did love that movie. It didn't stay on my top 5, but I'm really happy that it did for you because, as I've said, I miss Maurice, and that was absolutely my favorite of the Maurice movies that we've watched for all of the reasons that you mentioned. And I'm glad that Claudette Colbert only continued being in more and more movies with deeper roles after that, because she's so good, whether it's a comedy or a drama that we've seen her in. So I'm sure we'll see more of her too.
What was that year of Claudette? Was it 33 or something? It was
I think it was 36
4
or
bangers.
35.
I think 30
with Cleopatra.
Because there was Colbert, then the year of Lawton. Then I don't know, but
I think
usually
right.
there's a main character each year.
So I think it was 35.
Yeah, it was the 35 Oscars because Cleopatra came out in 34.
Yeah,
there you go. Okay,
and that was It Happened One Night. So that was the 7th year of the Oscars.
Great pick. All right, should I go now?
Jake, your number 5.
Okay, so my number 5 is, in my view, kind of the preeminent divorce movie, which, as Abby mentioned at one point when we were talking about these movies, we've seen a lot of movies centering on
many
divorce because
divorce movies.
it was a big part of people's life back in the day when you couldn't really be in a relationship with someone unless you were married. It seems like so
And
it was a
divorce was really
recurring
hard to
theme.
get.
Yes, as we find out in some of these movies. Well, anyway, this was a hard decision because I kind of had two fighting it out in my mind as the preeminent divorce movie. And I went with Dodsworth from 1936.
Yeah.
And, the thing is, The Divorcee, which was an early movie we talked about, we all included it on our first video as one of our favorites. Really great. Love Norma Shear. Love the dynamic, the intelligence of it. It's deep. But I feel like we have advanced cinematically by the time of 1936, that as a comprehensive movie, Dodsworth is better looking, better acted, more compelling. And as you guys all know, the thing that was tough about The Divorcee was it made me feel a little bit uncomfortable in the ambiguity of some of the decisions that are made, whereas Dodsworth is a little bit more like, hey, pro-monogamy, for lack of a better term, and a little bit more black and white in the morality, which I enjoyed. And Ruth Chatterton, what a great performance. At first, I've thought about this movie a lot since first watching it, and I was at first a little bit critical of the decisions they make with her character, but coming to learn that she was in the driver's seat from you guys with a lot of those decisions, I can appreciate it more, and I can understand the character a bit more and their motivation, and it seems a little bit less like hammed in. Like, she went for it. She was this woman who was fearful of aging and was kind of grasping at any opportunity to hold on to liveliness and her youth. And man, you just see that. And those scenes between her and the great Walter Houston, the patriarch of the Houston dynasty, Angelica Houston, Danny Houston, John Houston, etc. Some of the most real feeling scenes. As we discussed in the episode, they're in their, bed clothes, they're getting ready for bed. They're just unassuming appearances that we're not used to in this time, a time of great spectacle and splendor. It's a very intimate movie, and I loved it. I loved the arguments, and it left me really emotional by the end of it.
Yeah, I think the domestic sequences are what stay with me the most from that movie. So really, really like those. Also, I think it was maybe not our first, but the first movie from William Wyler, the director, that I noticed the direction in that because it was just so good.
From the opening scene, right?
Yes.
Like where you're in the factory. It looks incredible, like from the get-go.
Yes. And so I'm just like, okay. And now that we've seen especially one other movie from him, I'm like, this man was a genius. And I know that we'll see more from him. And he's probably the director that I'm most excited to see more and more of his movies.
What was the other one he did?
Dead End. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
And Abby, you pointed out that wonderful shot with when they're on the balcony with her European boyfriend.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with that scene. It looks
It was
amazing. I don't know how they did it.
That's when it was like I was enjoying the movie till that point, but that scene I was like, oh, this is one for the books.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
The only bit of trivia I know from that is that it did take many, many takes to film because it was actually getting the burning letter to fly in the correct direction where it should. So yeah, there was no string attached. They were just like, nope, run it again, burn more paper.
It's like working with dogs or children. They're looking at the director like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to do this? It's going to take a while.
Yeah.
No, that movie looks incredible. I think it's incredibly acted. I think the script is super tight. Yeah, just
great
terrific.
pick.
Love it.
All right. Moving on to our number 4 picks. My number 4 is Dead End, which I just mentioned. So
what a nice segue.
Yes, nice segue. Again, phenomenal direction. Very different from Dodsworth since you have much more of the grittiness of the tenements and stuff in New York. I just thought again, going back to our discussion when we talked about it, I genuinely had to look up what year the movie was made to make sure I was watching the correct one because it just had this proto-noir feeling to it. The direction was like so close and so intimate with a lot of these characters. You had a lot of contrast and like dark shadows. It looked great. Humphrey Bogart's performance was great, even though he wasn't like the main role. Loved all of the characters. Just everything about it really was interesting. So both the direction, obviously how it looked is what I'm talking about a lot, but the narrative as well. And some of the discourse about obviously gentrification and the way that police interact with those who are impoverished, right, or living in poverty, people's attempts to get out of poverty, and how those are often stymied by things outside of their control. So loved everything about that movie. So that is my number 4 pick.
The set in that movie is crazy.
Crazy.
Oh my
good.
God.
So incredibly built. Looks terrific as well. I think they wanted to shoot on location and they couldn't get that, but like kind of weirdly it works out because like it's such a memorable set as a result.
Yes.
Whereas versus I'm sure it would have looked great if it was filmed on location, but
Right.
there's something kind of special about seeing a movie and it's a set, but it just is articulated so well. Just like exciting from a production standpoint.
For sure. And I know that the producer had some issues with the set just because he was much more of a like controlling, wanted things like neat and clean. And the set is very intentionally not neat or clean. Like there's trash everywhere and stuff. So he would come on set and just be like, pick up after yourselves. And they'd be like, that's the point. Just go home. Like, let us film this movie, please.
That's a prop. Don't move it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, that's a live roach. What are you talking about? It's like,
Starting to
his
smell.
name is Sam. Like, leave him alone.
We're violating health
We're paying
codes.
him money. Not as much as asked that Skippy the dog, but we're still paying that roach money.
Exactly. And he performed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's my
roach put in the work.
number 4.
I just wonder if there's a stage version at some point of this movie because it could be really effectively.
I think it is.
staged
I
for the
think it is
theater.
based. Isn't it based on a stage play?
You're probably right. I haven't looked that up, but that makes total sense.
Yes.
You can usually tell that when you're watching a movie just by the decisions they make with the setting. But like I said when we were talking about it, it opens on this great kind of panoramic shot of the city skyline, and you zoom in on this one plaza and this one community, and you stay there for a very tight hour and a half. Doesn't overstay its welcome, and it engages you from start to finish. And I'm so glad you included it, Sarah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it is based on a stage play because I feel like I remember reading that. So the group of boys that is in that movie that went in to be the Dead End Boys, they were actually the original cast from the stage play as well.
Right.
So they pulled those kids from the stage play for the movie, and then they just kept.
They're so naturalistic.
Yeah, they pulled them from the stage play.
Acting
because they weren't. They were little menaces. Yeah, pulled them from the stage in New York where they were like, come to Hollywood to film this stuff. And then all of the studios had to hot potato them around because they would cause such havoc on like all
I'm
of
sure the person
you take the boys for the weekend.
The stage was like, thank God. They took them away.
Like, oh my God, please, thank you. Can we get Jackie Cooper?
Just honestly, if I was around the Dead End Boys, I would be like trying to impress them. Like I would be intimidated. I would be like,
I can't believe this.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Abby, your number 4 pick.
My number 4 is I'm a Fugitive from a Chain Gang. I think mostly based on Paul Mooney's performance, which is so incredibly excellent, like captivating from the very moment that he shows up on screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially because I feel like people should watch it for a variety of reasons, but I think it's the best or the best movie around a Paul Mooney performance. It's the only I don't know. I would not go back for any of our other Paul Mooney movies so far.
What?
No.
I thought you loved biopics.
Maybe The Good Earth.
Yeah, I can't say that I want to send anyone to The Good Earth or to The Story of Louis Pasteur, but I think that I'm a Fugitive from a Chain Gang. A has a really excellent performance by him. B is lit really fantastically and has some really excellent like scene lighting. Like the very end of that when he like disappears into the darkness is so evocative and like just a great final moment in that movie. But to like the real dedicated interest that movie has in a like societal issue, maybe to the point of being like a little like overly preachy, but I still think it
I
is.
love it.
Yeah, I think it kind of like is speaking very directly to like an issue that was
Mhm.
super present at the time,
Mhm.
frankly is still something happening.
Mhm.
And I think I just think it's great in every direction. I maybe the roles for some of the women are a little bit thin, but I still
Sure.
think that there's enough going on there that is interesting for them to do like as actors that I don't necessarily mind it.
No, that ending stayed with me
Point.
for days
Mhm.
afterwards. Like I was just talking to people who don't even watch, especially old movies. I was like, okay, this ending sequence though, like it hit hard. Like it was very
Mhm.
good.
You're like,
So
is there post credits with Thor?
Jake always has to work in an anti-Marvel dig somehow.
Like we're
I
not going to
want.
get sponsored by
I
Disney,
want.
guys.
Yeah.
Oh no. Um, no, Abby. Again, I'm so glad you guys are covering the bases I was afraid I wasn't going to
Mhm.
cover. So
Yeah.
this is working out perfectly. And a spoiler again, I did not include this, but now even just listening to you talk about it, I'm like, I probably should have included it because it is so
It's
good.
so
It is
good.
like Mooney. I venture to say he's like top 3 actors we've seen so
Yeah.
far,
Mhm.
and this is a tour de force for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just like you said, for a movie to be this socially conscious at that time, I have to imagine it set off a lot of alarm bells in people's minds. Like, we can use this medium for
Mhm.
good. We don't just have to be talking about divorce all the time or
And
speakeasies. We
I wonder
can
too
change
if
the world.
this like because I know that Paul Mooney really did the like I'm going to try and talk to everyone and anyone about this movie in terms of like researching the role. And I wonder if that to maybe to the extent of getting him into trouble a little bit, but I wonder if that really affected the roles that he took later because so many of the
Mm.
movies that he took since after that were very like message movies.
Right.
And
Even
kind of like
which
ham-fistedly so sometimes.
yeah, maybe a little bit like I think it's not as bad as like a sorry George Arliss, but literally every movie you've ever been in. And I'm like,
Yeah. That's rough.
but
Yeah.
like, but it has kind of a
Oh, I forgot about
similar idea behind a lot of the movies that he's
Mhm.
taking. Even if they're not for me, let's say that. But
Yeah.
like they're kind of hitting on a very similar like
Mhm.
interested in a societal ill kind of thing
Right.
that he is seems to be like chasing that idea and putting that onto screen.
That totally makes sense to me, especially knowing that he was someone who had script control, like, he was that kind of respected within I think it was MGM that he was paired up with. Yeah, I'm pretty sure because The Good Earth was Irving Thalberg's only on-screen producer credit, which is, tragic. But yeah, that totally makes sense to me that this was pretty early on because I think he was the original Scarface before that, and then this
Mhm.
movie where he
watch that.
really got close to, the kinda actual issues at hand, so I can very much see him choosing those types of movies for the reasons you said, so good call out.
That's such a great reminder, Sarah. I gotta watch the original Scarface now that I
Mhm.
know it's Mooney.
Mhm.
That's gotta be awesome.
Yeah. Alright.
All right. Well,
Jake.
solid picks all so far. I'm like, I don't wanna ruin it. I don't wanna, like, say the wrong thing during one of these, but I know that I'm not going to because my
Yeah.
next one is 1934's The Thin Man.
Yeah.
What a
Excellent.
great,
It was
excellent,
great.
fun time of a movie. I can guarantee you, although I laughed a whole lot during
Mhm.
Lady for a Day, I laughed even more during The Thin
It
Man.
was great.
And it
Yeah.
comes down to one main factor, and it is the chemistry between William
Mhm.
Powell, the goat Powell, and his lovely companion, Myrna Loy. Because when they are on screen together, granted, they could be on screen a little bit more, as we all said when we watched this originally. But
Mhm.
man, it is dynamic when they're interacting. There is no pretense. You can look in an actor's eyes, as I've said before, and see whether they're in the moment or whether the wheels are turning behind their eyes.
Mhm.
And in their cases, I never see any wheels turning. They're so comfortable with each other and they're so open to each other's ideas and deliveries in the moment that you just totally inhabit the world they create. And it sounds like I'm building it up maybe a little bit more than it is because it is like a silly movie. But because they do that work and they are so talented, you're just totally in it with them. And we've seen it in other movies that they've done. I'm thinking of The Libeled Lady, which was also a great time.
Yeah.
But for me, maybe because it was the first, but just because I think the scenes were so damn funny, The Thin Men is my favorite of their screen time together. The drinking, the constant drinking,
Yeah.
an ex-alcoholic, I appreciated. I thought they really nailed that lifestyle when they awake in the night. Someone's breaking into their house and they sort it out, and afterwards they're like, "Oh, honey, let me make you a drink." And it's like 3 a.m. It's running their lives, but it's funny,
right?
And that whole sequence, Christmas morning, again, as I mentioned on the episode, they're just not a line is spoken. They're just playing around. He's shooting the airsoft gun at the tree. She's looking at him like he's a total dumbass. Man, I love those two. I wish that they were like married. I ship them, as we used to say about Prestige TV. I ship them very hard. And last but not least, Asta the dog, aka Skippy in real life.
Call out.
The best paid animal in Hollywood for a reason. That I won't even say that thing, that fellow, that creature, that actor. He earned every dollar he made. So
that artist, really. We think about it.
And I'm gonna be honest, I know that the movie's about a murder mystery. I don't really give a shit about the murder. I love the climax at the table when it's revealed, like that classic like glass egg thing. That was super fun. But overall, I am there to watch William and drink and say the funniest shit ever to each other.
I think
I'm so glad you mentioned this.
Same. I think it's the only like movie that we've watched where I know that there are sequels, and I'm like, I would watch these sequels.
Yeah,
it's just like I just want to watch them together more. So, I mean,
that's good to know. I might go do a Man Marathon if they're like readily available.
Yes,
they're all on Max, Abby, and I've been putting it off, but I'm like, we have so many movies to watch for the podcast.
There are so many movies that I'm adding to my list and stuff, and I'm just like, as soon as the Oscars get down to nominating only 4 movies, I'm gonna watch so many.
We gotta get back. I need to watch something else.
Exactly. But okay, great pick.
Yeah. Good pick. I'm so glad you mentioned this one because spoilers, this did not make my list, but I was like, I was thinking about William Powell sitting on the settee firing the like dart gun under his leg. And I was like, but how can I not put this on my list?
There were a lot of these where I'm just like, they were on my list for now potentially honorable mention because I'm like, man, they're not quite there. And it was between this and Lady for a Day when I was trying to think of like comedy. But I think just that wholesome element for me put Lady for a Day over the top, even though, man, Thin Man, so good. So good.
And I've said it before, and not to detract from Myrna, but William, in a way that most male actors don't, gives her the space to be a character and to flourish. And it so shows through. And I'm so glad that that became more the norm moving forward. But he was a trailblazer in that respect.
Yeah. All right. We ready for number 3 picks? Okay. So my number 3 is still All Quiet on the Western Front. I did not knock that off of my top 5 when I was reflecting through these movies. It's sometimes hard to like put myself fully back in like how the movie impacted me or why I liked it and what I liked about it. But I just know that that was one that I think really delivered on the source material. There were a lot of sequences with like the anti-war speeches, the futility of it, especially when I think his name is Paul, when he goes on shore leave and is kind of in that scenario where he has this horrific experience of war where he doesn't fit in anymore. And he's surrounded by the kind of like the people in the back rooms, right, who are talking about strategy and like, oh, you don't know war. This is like a man's game, not a boy's game sort of thing. And just everything about that movie, I think, is still unfortunately a relevant reminder about some of the ugliness of war and what that does to people, especially young people, because it's just a reminder that's like, oh, these are babies. These are all babies that are being like shipped off for some of the most horrific experiences that like hell on earth, right? So that stayed on my top 5. It did not get knocked out by the dozens of movies that we have seen since. I just thought it was a powerful movie, and I still think that even though a lot of the acting is a bit outdated for what we're used to today, I still think that the source material and plenty about it makes it worth watching, even over some of the other like remakes and other iterations of it. So
It's also just technically beautiful.
oh
Like,
yeah.
the shot design is incredible. Even the early use of sound, like, they are so thoughtful about
Mhm.
that, like, buzzing sound that is always gonna be there no matter what, and kind of figuring out ways to motivate
Right.
what is on screen that is kind of making that noise where you can kinda trick yourself into thinking, "Oh, like, that's the hiss of the rain," or whatever.
Right.
Just really thoughtfully made.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to, as we did last time we talked about this movie on our last video special, remind ourselves how groundbreaking
Mhm.
that would have been at that time, because it was such a life-altering event we're on, and it was still, you had no way to conceptualize as someone on the home
Right.
to see Paul experience it, come home, and then be so damaged by that to be unable to like adjust to
Mhm.
home and to actually seek to go back to it, to oblivion, to join his friends in death.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh my God, I can understand why it was remade so many times,
Mhm.
and this set the standard. So really glad that this is still on
It's
somebody's
yeah,
list. Thank you.
still hanging on there. Especially because I think, as we talked about last time, the fact that it is told from soldiers on the losing side,
Yeah,
just helps make it feel
interesting.
just, like, even more futile, right? Like, what a waste, of all of this, so
We're
that was
not used
my
to
number
that as
3.
Americans. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Alright, Abby, your number 3.
Alright, my number 3 is A Star Is Born,
Mm, okay.
early Technicolor. I just think that Friedrich March's performance is
Yeah.
so excellent in that movie. And just the script is really tight and is doing a lot of, so I know we talked a lot about the fact that we've seen a lot of divorce movies, a lot of kind of relationship movies, especially relationships struggling under the like power dynamic of men and women, particularly in Hollywood or in show business or royals, or who has the power, and like what happens when the power dynamic shifts between the man and the woman.
Mhm.
And the fact that Norman is never like, you never get the sense that they resent one another for this. It is always
Right.
this is their relationship is still the thing that is matters and powering that, even when it is a struggle. I just feel like it is such an important kind of like development on that theme, but it's also
Mhm.
just really beautifully acted by both those performers.
Mhm.
Also,
Again.
Great.
it's in color.
Yeah.
Yay! Our first and so far only color movie, unless you count that one Technicolor sequence in Hollywood Review, which we do not because it's should be forgotten. No, I'm so glad that you included this because again, this movie did um, make me really cry. So it was a good one. It was a good one.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, I had never seen an iteration of A Star Is Born, so this is my first time, and I'm so glad it was the first iteration
Yeah.
of it, as far as I know. And to see it in color, as you say, Abby, felt like a total sea change from what we've seen before, because that early color, for whatever reason, it's like otherworldly. You know, we
Mhm.
thought, I'll think about like Technicolor in
Mhm.
the 50s and how vibrant the Hitchcock movies and everything are. It's similar here to where it's like hyper real
Right.
almost,
Yeah.
Right.
and it makes the people feel a little bit more real. So
Yeah.
just on that technical aspect alone, you've got to get it kudos. And I also think it's Hollywood maybe being its most introspective so far. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, for sure.
there's some, you could say that it's being a little self-critical here in what it does to people. That sequence where they construct Janet Gaynor's new identity as a star,
Mhm.
Sure.
as what's her name?
Esther
Esther.
Blodgett or something like that. It's like
Well,
a
that's her real name,
it's
but
yeah.
her,
Oh, her
Yeah.
yeah,
star
And her
name
turning into
is
yeah,
Vicky.
yeah,
Yeah.
Vicky
Vicky,
Lester.
Vicky
Lester.
Lester.
Yeah.
Yes. So you see this whole like 5-minute sequence of them, the producers and the publicists and the offices, like, oh, let's say she's from here, and she did this and she did that, and it just makes you realize, how consciously constructed this whole
Mhm.
world was,
Sure.
and it contributed to this fantasyland ideal that, as we see in this movie, was oftentimes covering up,
Mhm.
much more painful reality.
And as
So
we know
great,
from
great.
studying during the podcast, right, of this time period where it was like, okay, this was really not the glitz and glam that people
But remember,
romanticize.
if you do child abuse, you'll get a great child
Yeah, exactly. So far, they're like 2 for 2, right? But I just, yeah,
Jackie.
I'm glad we called it Frederick March because we've seen him in several things, and I know we'll keep seeing him, and I know that he is
This is his
considered
best.
like one of the most like solid actors of that time. But in his other performances, I didn't quite see it. Like he wasn't bad, but I wasn't like, oh, Frederick March is in this movie. But this movie, man, like, again, when he just does the whole like, let me get one more look at you sort of thing at the end when he's already made his decision, I was like, like it was just so good. So good.
He holds up that smiling through. I know you guys didn't like that movie, but
no,
he's one of
I
the
was about
best
to
things
say, I
about it.
think you see a little bit
A
of
little
like
bit.
that performance that you eventually see in A Star Is Born is you can see pieces of it in Smiling Through. I think
Right.
that like especially his turn at the end is really excellent. But
Yes. Yeah.
He was also an Anthony Adverse, though.
Yeah, he was as the titular Anthony.
How can you have those two?
It
the
just goes to show
complexity
you
of man.
that every movie is a miracle in
Yes.
the sense of like
Yeah.
not only just any movie getting made period is miraculous, even the shitty ones is
Right.
like wow,
Yeah.
people are really out here like making stuff.
Yeah,
And the fact
coming
that any
together.
movies ever are good is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what you're saying. That might be my number 1 pick. You know? It was so good.
Oh, you're mad woman. All right.
Yes, Jake, it is now your turn for your number
Well,
3.
Guys, we knew this was going to happen at some point. We knew that there was going to be an instance of overlap. And it just so happens that my number 3 is also A Star Is Born. Hello.
Nice.
Ring the bell.
Okay.
A star
Ding,
has
ding,
been
ding, ding.
born.
Yeah.
This is a double thumbs up from Lights Camera Accolade. Folks, if you've never heard of this little known movie, A Star Is Born, which is so not very famous.
Yeah. It's only been remade a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yes, only a couple, not recently or anything.
It's no East Lynn.
It's no East Lynn.
Okay, but I do have some additional things to say on it. And I kind of referenced this when we originally watched it. But the thing that really cut me deep about March's performance, and not to take away from Janet Gaynor, because she is fantastic. It was great to see her in a more fleshed out role, because we've seen her. We saw her as that like ditzy farm girl in the State Fair, and then we saw her in the silent movie. She was great, but it was silent, so it's a little limited.
I think in State Fair too, though, she had the only character whose arc I cared a little bit about with her.
Yeah,
little, you know, but yeah, it was not great. But
yeah, shitty movie. But anyway, to get back to what I was starting to say, I really feel like this is such a like positive portrayal of someone struggling with narcissistic tendencies and substance use issues, which I think is very easy in the art to paint folks in that boat in like a wholly negative and irredeemable light. Whereas you see in March's character of Norman, I'm glad you mentioned his name because I had forgotten. This man who is very consciously struggling throughout the film with really the knowledge of his demons, because you can tell from his introduction, he does not like himself. You can tell that he is self-medicating. He has very surface level relationships with people. He's very callous towards his first girlfriend. And to me, he's a little bit heavier on the narcissism spectrum, which I think everyone falls on to some extent. But the thing is, when you are a narcissist, you have that self-hate that's kind of all-encompassing psychologically and subconsciously. But when you find someone who is so good and so pure and kind to you, you tell yourself, if this person can love me, then I'm not so bad. So when he finds, what's her face? I just mentioned her, Janet Gaynor, this really bright-eyed, optimistic, talented young woman, and he tells himself, I can help her, she can love me, and that will mean that I'm good and I can do anything and I can be okay and I can quiet that voice that I don't like myself, which can be so powering as an actor and performer. If you are a narcissist and you have that self-doubt or that self-loathing, it can power you to create some really incredible art, but it can also destroy you. So a lot of times what narcissists will do is they'll develop a fantasy around another person. They'll build them up and they'll kind of sink all their eggs into one basket. And that's really what he did. And paradoxically, as she became more popular and more successful, his star was parallel falling in his career, as we all know the story. And it wasn't, like you said, Abby, he never resented her. It wasn't anything she did wrong. It was the reality that he kept getting faced with, whether it was someone at the door delivering a package to her rather than him, or much later, that Libby guy, that great actor that we all love, the kind of fast-talking Italian guy. March is at the bar. He's resisting the temptation to drink again after he's been triggered. And this old guy, because of their bad history, sinks his teeth into him, and March just falls off the wagon again. And there's so many instances of him trying to do well, but you can tell when she wins her Oscar and crashes the party and he makes a scene, makes it all about him rather than her. And they get home and she drops her Oscar on the floor as she's taking off his shoes and it lands next to his shoe. What a painful sequence that is. And realize this is a man who is not going to be able to cut it. And ultimately it takes him seeing that he's really holding her back and he's going to ruin what could be an amazing career, for him to finally be selfless and say, the best outcome here is for me to remove myself from the situation. And I thought it was actually very courageous as somebody that has that kind of tendency to have that self-awareness, to genuinely love someone that much and to have that self-sacrifice. There's a reason this movie's been remade so many times. That is a really powerful thing to see. And March just totally sells it. And it's so sad because when they're in the camper and they're on their honeymoon,
their happy times,
and there's no Hollywood, there's no nothing. That's all he wants. But because he's a part of that world and it's infected his brain, they're stars.
I think so. Kind of spoilers for my list. It didn't make the top 5, but it was definitely in the pool of movies that I was trying to choose between. I think part of it for me is that one, it only really gained significance because of all of the context and stuff that we've had leading up to this. I think it was a solid movie otherwise, but it's not something that I would blindly pick at random and watch and feel just as strongly about. And I do also think that between the narratives of Norman and Vicky, you get so much more, Norman has so much more impact through the movie, even though it is ostensibly about Vicky's journey. But the movie, and Abby, you mentioned this in the episode, because other iterations of it, she's like a singer or something else where you get to actually appreciate the performance. Yeah,
she
and
kind of
talent.
falls off because you can't see
the acting. You're
doing.
just told
just kind of have to buy
that she's good. She got an Oscar. She's good. But it's so much of the movie is just well, what we saw her have was grit. She stuck with it. She had this big dream, and she, even when struggling, believed in herself and really put herself out there. But it was through kind of the luck, right, of meeting Norman and him getting her foot in the door, which is necessary. That is very much a real part of Hollywood for a lot of people. But you're kind of okay, so she luckily was able to get into this world, and then she was crafted into someone who was successful. You don't really get the sense that she had this insane talent that was just needed its place to be allowed to blossom. It kind of feels more okay, she was in the right place at the right time and Hollywood made her a star,
Yeah.
I think
you're right.
Is that what they're saying though?
That might be.
I know you could interpret that as a weakness of the movie, but maybe there's intentionality there.
I don't think it's necessarily a weakness of the movie, because I do agree that very much could be intentional, because it is a very either intentional or just coincidentally a part of it, because it was such a real part of especially women in Hollywood becoming famous. But it is still something that for me detracts from the overall narrative.
Understandable.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. Especially because just thinking of subsequent versions of the movie, or I know we talked about this, you and I had both seen this movie before and we're yeah, it's fine. And then only in having kind of done this and seen like the context in which this movie existed in,
Right.
then being like, oh, this movie is spectacular.
Yes.
So
Yes.
there's
Yeah.
like, I do think that is a very real thing.
Yeah.
And I do think I think you're right in terms of the thing that weakens this movie is the fact that you kind of lose Janet Gaynor's like
Mhm.
what is making her character special. Kind of after, I think, because I think she's
In the
excellent in the very
beginning.
beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, where she
all
has a
about it.
ton to do, and then she
Mhm.
kind of falls off, and it kind of stops being so much about her.
Right.
And which partly I think is why it's so easy to talk about Friedrich March's performance,
Mhm.
right? Is because he really dominates the back half of that movie.
Yeah.
Where she's kind of like really front loaded.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah.
no, I don't think you're wrong. I think the context is kind of like shapes a lot of this.
Yeah.
I think
for
if
sure.
you go into it with the expectation that she's more a plot device for what you're saying about his character, and you're okay with that, it's probably
Yeah,
easier, but it's a totally valid criticism,
Mhm.
especially because she's so good in the beginning.
Mhm.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, her just like, I want to be somebody in the opening sequences is just like that's something that
Yeah.
resonates with a
And
lot of
she's
people who
still
try to make it in that world.
Yeah, and she's still excellent,
She's
like,
great,
in the
yeah.
back half of the movie, but the things that she's being asked to do are a lot, like, quieter, for lack of a better word,
Mhm.
like, how she is reacting to, March's work in the movie.
Yeah. So shout out to Apple Annie Mae Robson making an appearance
Yes,
again
I'm
because
glad you mentioned
always
that.
happy to see her. She made
She's
my
a
top
total
5
badass.
either way. So she at least is a common thread so
There we
far.
go.
All 3 of us have gotten Mae Robson movies thumbs up.
Love.
All right, we ready for number 2?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
I'll keep it shorter the next ones. I feel like I keep going on. I love these movies.
You're
I love them.
They're so good. Okay, so my second pick for my top 5 is 5-star Final. It obviously stayed on my top 5. This movie really impacted me. Prior to A Star Is Born, this was the movie that made me cry the hardest. And that was without all of the necessary context and buildup. And part of that, I think, is we all can recognize the like relevance of that sort of like tabloid culture that just grinds up people's lives and with no care to repercussions or the actual impact. So seeing the impact that it has on this family and their struggles to just like try and live a normal life while all of this comes back to like dirty laundry, right, gets aired out, and seeing them like in turns try to protect each other and try and like plead with the actual newspaper companies and the system that is actively using their everything like negative about their lives as a way to like prop themselves up was just really powerful. I thought we had some really great performances, particularly by the stepfather in that movie, who was just like gut wrenching with his scenes and just like very tender with his family as well, which I think made all of the sort of tragedy that played out in that movie hit even harder. And then, of course, that was, I think we all called it out when we had seen it. The secretary, like her acting, also phenomenal. I feel like we haven't seen her since, which is crazy because she was so talented. But yeah, just everything about that movie for the reason, like, see our first top 5 video for a better discussion on this. But yeah, just for a long time, so this might be like vague spoilers for what my number 1 pick is, but for at least several months of the podcast after our first top 5, I was like, man, what is going to knock this off my top spot? Because I haven't seen anything that has really like been good enough to me, right, affecting enough to knock it off. But we did finally get one.
Wondering now what knocked it off.
Very curious.
Yeah,
I have some ideas.
It's Anthony Edwards.
Preferences.
So. Delightful movie from start to finish.
Stop making me do slavery, damn it!
Yeah. Oh no! Oh, such a Frederick March. What a tour de force from him. Okay. Any thoughts, or should we move on to other number 2s?
Oh, well, I just want to say a lot of the reason I was shitting on this one the last time was to try to engineer false controversy, to be honest with you guys. This is something that goes on in Hollywood and entertainment You want to get the
Mhm.
argumentative juices flowing. It's a great movie, and I just want to, plant that flag and say that.
He's just trying
Is
to
it overrated?
retroactively
I
say,
mean,
okay.
you could say it's overrated,
I don't
but
think you
I
could.
will acknowledge it's good, and I'm glad you are
Okay.
acknowledging it again.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm very glad that this made your list again. I think
Yes.
it's a really great, it lives in such an interesting intersection in terms of like technical, like how movies are being approached technically, and also how performances are kind of going from a very stagey kind of performance to kind of you're seeing more naturalistic acting, and you're kind of getting the wide range of that, and it's being leveraged in a way that really supports the script and the content of the story in a really interesting way. And I think that still is something that really stands out to me even now.
All sensible supporting comment.
All right, Abby, your number 2.
My number 2 is our next overlap. It was Dodsworth for me. I know we've kind of like said everything that I think I necessarily wanted to say about the movie, but I just think that kind of reiterating that real intimacy and kind of casual intimacy between the husband and wife, like those scenes are so special and feel so distinct in everything that we've watched so far.
Yeah, I said it on the episode. I'm like, how does a movie like this come along after all these other ones that you can just see the pretense of people playing pretend husband and wife? This is like real shit. I imagine. I'm not married, but
no, as someone who is,
so everyone knows.
No, it does feel very real. I don't argue with my spouse. But yeah, the innate like comfort and just being very comfortable in your own skin around another person feels so distinct from it. Like you said, every other husband and wife kind of couple that we've seen on screen.
Yeah, I think I definitely was in between Dodsworth and Dead End just for like a William Wyler movie for 2 very different reasons, but then Dead End just did so much that we've seen so far for me for sure. But then ultimately obviously landed on Dead End. And honestly, potentially controversial, but I still, if we're looking at, as Jake mentioned, our 2 like biggest divorce movies that we have thought were really good, The Divorcee and Dodsworth, I feel like if I had to choose between them, I might still choose The Divorcee just because narratively it's doing some interesting things with like the characters. But Dodsworth, I think, is much more like it's more visually compelling, and there are just like those quiet, intimate moments that are very good. But I just like, I don't know. I'm here for the drama. I guess it did have a lot of drama anyway, but still.
Yeah.
It's different. It's a very distinct kind of drama.
Yeah.
That boat scene at the end, dude, we watched that one together. I was like ready to throw my computer against it. It's like, get out of there.
Yeah.
Stop doing the same. It's the definition of insanity. It's oversaid, but doing the same thing over and over. Stop it. Yeah. And he did. He got out.
He did. Good for him.
You can't trust a hoe.
Good for Dodsworth. Good for good for John Huston. All right, Jake, your second pick.
Hurts. This hurts.
If this
hurts.
Okay.
My second pick is The Champ.
I knew it. It's all right. It got bumped down from number 1. It's still in your top.
We learn
3.
and we grow. What did The Champ learn? Well, The Champ died, but his son, Jackie Cooper, playing not Skippy, but
Dink.
Dippy? Dick?
Dink.
What is it?
Dink. I can't believe I remember that.
Yeah.
He wasn't on your guys' list.
It never was.
Okay. Can you not see this is difficult for me to put it at number 2 than 1?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We're recording.
I'm sorry.
Very serious.
He learned, he grew, he had to let the champ go to become a man himself and be strong for his mother. And like I said before, like I've been going to a lot of therapy, and I think a lot of my own issues are, I wish I had been stronger for my mother during difficult times when I was little, during circumstances I had little control over. And seeing that scene with him and his mother and some of the other stuff in that movie really resonated for me on like a subatomic level. And so The Champ will always hold a very special place in my heart, but it has been dethroned.
Yeah.
So,
I'm super curious what dethroned it. I was getting a little bit, I was like, there's no way Jake doesn't have it on his top
I know,
5,
right?
But I was like, okay, we're getting closer to the top. Either it's going to be one of the top 2 or Jake's been a liar about how much this movie has impacted him. But I'm glad to see.
I'm a fickle bitch.
Yeah, he's like, the champ who? You mean the water champ of the seas?
Water Champ was a
It was
good
good.
sequel. It's
It was
kind of
a
like the
good
Avatar
sequel.
2 was Water
Right.
Avatar.
Oh, sure.
Right.
Same thing with the Champ.
Good
but
remake. Yeah.
we should have no mention of Spencer Tracy yet. I love that guy. He's great. You guys will see him again in our latest. He's in another one that just came out.
I feel like he'll probably get more and more because we saw him in like San Francisco, and we're just like
he's one of those guys.
Yeah.
But he was great in Water Champ with his fucked up fake Portuguese accent.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for like the right Spencer Tracy performance, and I know it exists, and also that we're gonna see it. So
yeah, for sure. So I'm glad.
We don't need to call him out now.
Yeah, I'm really happy, Jake, that the Champ is truly like you discovered a movie that really resonated with you, and it seems like it will for a long time. I love that.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yes. Okay, so my number 1 pick, drum roll, is Stage Door. I absolutely loved this movie. Not only like the quick-witted dialogue and just like strong characters and strong performances from a lot of female actresses that we haven't gotten to see this type of ensemble cast before. So Ginger Rogers was fantastic. We've only prior to this seen her in, Fred Astaire movie, which I love. Like, I think those are fun movies, but I'm so used to just seeing her as a dancer rather than an actress that seeing her in this role was great. Early Lucille Ball, who I know like Jake fell in love with, but she was also phenomenal in this movie. And then Katharine Hepburn, like what a strong performance from her in this, and just like loved everything about the way that it viewed what women kind of go through in this industry. And similar to A Star Is Born, has a lot of that same, people trying to make it in an industry that is very fickle and very like based just on the way that you look. There's a lot of room for like predatory behavior in that. And some of that, like these women ultimately have to either accept or play around in order to like stay in the game. And just, the way that they support each other, sometimes butt heads, like all of it was so good. I laughed, I cried, like this went through all of the various emotions. And I had never like seen any iteration. I know it's a stage play. I think there might be other movies of it. I knew nothing about this going into it and walked away just very like moved by some of the performances and the relationships between a lot of the characters for sure. So that's my number 1 pick overall.
Yeah, the ensemble is so strong.
Yeah.
And not just like the writing, but just the performances and kind of the dynamic and chemistry between all those women. And it feels very special to see a movie that is so, from this period especially, that is so dominated by the women in it. It feels like a very rare opportunity to get to see all of them.
Yeah, I feel like even today,
agree,
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's a timeless challenge that women have asserting themselves, professionally in any setting. But I have to imagine this was really a trailblazing move at its time, because none of them are really, I mean, I was going to make a joke and say they have every type of this movie. But like none of them feel
they
fake.
don't.
It feels real. It feels like real people. And I'm just so happy that they all had the opportunity to be a part of it. And I hope that we will soon see the downstream effects of Hollywood realizing we can do this. There's nothing holding us back from making a woman-centered movie, and let's carry this forward. So hopefully that happens. But also, you mentioned this was a stage version of this. I was in this as a play. Who
did you play, by the way? I'm very curious because there are very few.
This is something, that was interesting. I think there's some changes from the stage version to the film version, because there's a boyfriend named Sam Hastings from Texas, and in order to play this, that one girl who is kind of like ditzy, like from the South in the movie. It's her boyfriend, and so to prepare for this role, I wore cowboy boots every day for 6 months.
Oh, there you go.
And,
Method. Just going full method for the
It
role.
started as a method, and then I was like, I really kind of like cowboy boots, and I wore them for a little while after the play. But his name was Sam Hastings. It was early in my acting career, so I only had a handful of scenes. But you better believe my George Bush accent.
Nice.
Nailed at that time.
Nice. Good job. All right. Proud of you. I was like, did Jake play the sleazy producer?
I wish that was a better part.
That was a interesting role. The other thing that I have to shout out, so Katharine Hepburn, I think this is my favorite movie that I've seen of her. Like Little Women was fun. I did not like Alice Adams. And so I know you did, but I just, that movie was tough for me to watch. But this movie, I feel like I loved her performance, loved her character. And she also had like a lot of interesting elements of like not really being great at acting. So Katharine Hepburn had to play someone who's like can't nail her lines and is just like really awkwardly bad.
To do as an actor.
Which is hard to like act poorly on purpose. And then later obviously has such a strong performance when she's moved by finding out that like their friend who had wanted that role ended up committing suicide. And so her acting and like the emotion that she brings to that scene was so powerful. And then on top of that, as we mentioned in the episode, when the way that she kind of goes head to head with that sleazy producer character, Adolphe Menjot, because of the privilege that she comes from, was all just like really well done. So you get to see her be
thought-provoking.
Yeah. So, and also like caring with Ginger Rogers, like having to kind of navigate and read the room with these women where she doesn't quite belong, but she wants to try and make it on her own and belong. And they all kind of butt heads initially, but she becomes a core part of their group. And ultimately, they're the ones who come away from it sticking together closer than ever. So I just thought, this was definitely my number one pick. So.
I like full circle movies too. You get the vibe at the end that new people are arriving as old have departed.
Just like the Grand Hotel. All right, Abby.
It's okay.
Your number one pick.
My number one pick is 5-star final still.
Yay!
Wow.
I was getting really nervous. I was like, man, I feel like several of these stayed the same. And I was like,
Abby,
am I the only one?
Stage? I thought you were going to say Stage Door. You didn't include Stage Door?
It's not on my like top 5 list, but 5-star final I feel like has just really stuck with me in terms of, I just think, going back to that thing I said, I just think it is in such a like interesting part of film history, but is also just so effective that it has to me, it's very interesting on both a like movie just standalone standpoint, but also from a like what it is doing in terms of technical and that kind of thing.
Is Stage Door finally, or not Stage Door, is 5-star final finally going to get the cumulative ranking that it deserves? Because it didn't make it to the number one.
You guys are juking the stats.
So little overlap that it might make it to number one where it belongs. Okay.
I'm going to say this. I really respect Abby's opinion as a consumer of media, which is fundamentally what the three of us are more than anything.
He does not respect my opinion. You heard it here, folks.
I didn't, by me saying that, I'm not saying I don't respect yours. I just, to buttress what I'm about to say, it's a predicate. Okay. So if after this many movies, this is still your top movie, I think I need to rewatch this movie.
Please do. Please do.
When I have a chance.
Please do. And then tell me like how you feel about it, because I want to know.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. Because you guys are just really, you love this fucking movie. I thought it was a good movie, but it had something just much like you look at me when I talk about The Champ, like, that's a little bit like the way I feel with you guys in this movie.
Like, maybe we just saw it at the right time, which I think is totally like very much like how like The Champ speaks to you on like an atomic level. Maybe it was just speaking to me at like the right exact moment. Like that's completely possible.
Right. And
my family was killed by a newspaper too.
Just like the actual newspaper. Damn. They made a movie about a tire that kills people. They could do the same here. I was for much of the same reasons that Jake is saying in terms of like really respecting your opinion on movies and film. That's why I was also getting nervous where I was like, did 5-star Final not stay on Abby's top 5 at all? That is just, am I wrong?
You're alone
somehow?
on 5-star
I
Final Island.
know.
Like,
Yeah, exactly. But I'm very glad that it is your number one because it was tough to move it down for me, much like it was tough for Jake to move the champ down. But I did have at least that little bit, like I was saying, a sense of relief to some extent when I did finally have like stage door interest and move me in a way that I was like, nice, this is like a new top one. Because I was starting to be like, are movies just bad from here on? Like, will nothing ever supplant this? But
the Hays Code really fucked everything.
Yeah, I literally was like, dang, okay, well, maybe when we get to the 70s.
I'm surprised because Abby came out swinging for stage door in that episode. And she didn't say she didn't like it, but I just thought it was going to
be on like a top 5.
There
were a lot of good movies.
People.
There were a lot of good movies, for sure. I knew Dodsworth was going to be on both yours.
I know what the best movie is. If we're ready to
Jake. Yes, we're ready for your number one.
I wish I could act like this hasn't been mentioned already, but it has. And I think all the points that were made about it already are accurate. I'm going to do my best to mention a couple other things. But I think that the best movie we've seen so far is Dead End. I think it is a beautiful film. Beautiful. It's just so well executed.
It's very good.
It's so often that you watch a movie and you think to yourself, I'd have done this differently. This dragged.
Right.
Why did they make this decision? I never second guessed any decisions that this wonderful director, whose name you mentioned,
William Wyler,
did Dodsworth, which is also on our list, and Dead End. And he is just a masterful director. There's these dynamic sequences that take place in this movie between the Dead End boys and the gunfight, where the camera is moving and you feel like you're there and one of the people, and it is cinema growing in real time in us. And I felt it in this movie more so than any. And the class things, I was so moved by the police and the crowds of poor people around the shootout, and they're still partying up in the penthouse right next door. I loved Humphrey Bogart. I've never seen Humphrey Bogart in a villainous role. Now I hope he did more of them, because he's like serpent-like, but also a human. He's not a caricature. He's someone who I felt bad for when he's on the stairwell trying to return to his mother and say, Mom, I've been successful in my career of crime. I want to do well for you now. And she is, I don't want anything to do with you. You see that pain in his eyes. He goes to try to rekindle his relationship with his childhood love, and she's a prostitute, and he turns her away. I mean, that's maybe not the right thing to have done, but in any case, you understand where he's coming from. And so when he dies, I feel it's a loss. You know, this is a human being that was killed, not some kind of Saturday morning cartoon character. And he's a part of that ecosystem of that neighborhood, just as all the characters are. And also got to mention Sylvia Sidney, who plays the older sister, Drina. She is just a real force. Her facial expressions when the camera comes in and she's almost reminiscing about this alternative reality and this love who's going to deliver brother from their awful circumstances. And it's such a moving sequence. Everyone, I would say the weakest performance is kind of the lead guy, the good guy. But even he is like, he's not a bad actor. He's just in comparison to everybody else.
He kind of gets like lost, meat, right?
Yeah. For most of the movie, he's kind of like in denial of the severity of their own circumstances to actually ever leave kind of their station, quote unquote, right? Because that was something that I really liked about Drina, is that obviously she's trying to keep her brother from following in ultimately like Humphrey Bogart's path that he took, while she is trying to like work honestly, but still always do the right thing, right? Like she's a striking worker. She's like holding the line, even though they live in poverty, right? So it's like she is someone who is struggling, but has kind of that integrity there.
The fact that they mention a labor struggle and striking, I feel like this movie maybe is more of that time period, which we've seen a lot of idealized movies.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
For sure.
And this, like, for maybe, for people who were really affected by State Fair, that Hick movie, this was more affecting for me as somebody from New Jersey, because I feel like that is a war, and it is of that time.
Right.
So just a fantastic movie. I want to watch it again.
It was.
If I didn't have something I had to do after this, I would watch it again. That's how much
right
I
now.
like this.
Yeah, it is truly fantastic. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, like, Humphrey Bogart's character. You do feel for him because it's his, you can see in like the Dead End Boys kind of what his childhood likely was like in this place. And for him to still feel so strongly, those are his roots. And this is like the ecosystem that he can kind of return to, because the Dead End Boys, even though it's terrible situation that they're in, they are doing their best to have a great time. They're menaces, you know, they're doing like petty crimes and stuff, but
life finds a way.
Yeah,
Jeff
right.
Right.
But you can kind of tell that the bonds that they form with each other are going to be very strong memories and connections that they hold and carry through life. So even though Humphrey Bogart escaped the literal circumstances and became wealthy through crime, that it was what he was longing for, was going back to those like simpler times where even though everything was really bad, you had this like community, destitute as it was, right? And to be like fully rejected by that community because of his life choices was just like, oh, that's rough, you know, like it's all, it's no good for anyone. So great movie. I'm glad you included that one.
People describe that classic show, The Wire. My favorite TV show is Dickensian. This felt very Dickensian as well.
Sure.
It's a little bit like The Wire for white people. I don't know if that was good to say, but I think it's accurate.
No,
that feels right, maybe.
That feels right.
All right. So what we have left are our honorable and dishonorable mentions. We should end on a high note with honorable. No. Let's do honorable and then dishonorable, and on a low note, and on some.
Well, we have to announce our top three, so
right?
Like,
so it'll end on
honorable, dishonorable, and then our top three.
That sounds good. Yeah, I just want to. Yeah, well, our penultimate will be.
We did a lot of planning going into this, everyone.
So much planning. Okay, so my honorable mentions. It was going to. Well, because it was going to be I Am a Fugitive from a Chain Gang, but we've talked about it so much that that I feel like, I don't know, is that cheating? So like
take two.
It's fine. Yeah, take two. Okay.
Then I can
if she can take two, I'm gonna take two.
Everyone's gonna take two. Okay.
Only for this one. Maybe dishonorable. We have to like show some restraint. But
okay. So yes. Then if it's not I'm a Fugitive from a Chain Gang, it's actually gonna be A Midsummer Night's Dream. It was
I was surprised that wasn't on yours.
Yeah, I genuinely I thought it was a great time. I loved all of obviously like the set design. I thought the humor was actually like really hit in the places where it was supposed to hit. James Cagney had a great performance as Bottom. Like it was just like a nonsense good time, really funny, especially once you kind of like know what's going on, because I know for some people it is convoluted, especially if you don't have any knowledge going into it. But no, I think that will be my honorable mention. I don't think there's a world in which it would have like really made the top 5, but it was enjoyable and fun enough that I'm like, I gotta shout it out and just be like, this was, if you're into wacky, zany, absurdist nonsense in a fantasy setting, then it's great. It's a great time.
Yeah, it was cool. It was the visuals alone. I mean, if I was looking to get baked and watch something, that's
right. Being a Midsummer Night's Dream. Yeah. All right, Abby, your honorable mention.
My honorable mention is Stage Door,
okay.
which we already talked about at length.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah,
okay.
I think it's excellent. I love it. My other one was going to be All Quiet on the Western Front, which I had on my top 5 list before.
Yeah.
And I think the only reason that it got knocked off for me was it's kind of the definitive war movie in a good way. Like it kind of like it affected war movies and how like they get shown on screen for forever.
Right.
But I think if I want to use my honorable mention for, you should really go as an audience, like now watching this video should go watch it, is I think that All Quiet on the Western Front is you've seen movies like that before, whether you knew it or not, but I think you should go watch Stage Door.
Yeah. All right.
So my honorable mentions are both going to be Western themed. And so I'll start with the first. She Done Him Wrong. The tour de force of Mae West.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yes.
Western.
I know.
Okay.
Sarah's like, was like, oh, fuck. Like,
cut the camera, cut the mic.
Sarah hates Westerns. We're trying to civilize her.
They're trying. Yeah. Decivilize?
This is not really a movie. It is more of a stand-up
It's really not.
show. It's really just Mae West saying really awesome, funny, clever things. And I feel like it's maybe a capstone to her career because I know she had a long career up to that point.
Yeah, this is a great honorable mention pick.
Yes.
I think that if you're feeling very feminist one day, you should watch Stage Door and this movie. And you'll be like, how the hell did we let all these guys get in charge of everything? Because we have, and Mae West, like, I was in the same way that the next movie I'm going to mention really affected me. This one really affected me in that I became, sorry to say, a little bit sexually fascinated by Mae West for about 48
Became a Mae West simp. Got it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was watching, as I mentioned before, I was watching these YouTube videos. It's all gay guys talking very like effusively about Mae West queening. I'm like, well, I just want to serve her. But anyway, I'm going to stop myself before I get any weirder. So the other Western movie we actually just watched yesterday, called Slow West, which was Abby's suggestion for her non-birthday month pick. It was a modern revisionist Western from 2015. And man, it is one of the meanest movies I've ever seen. Sometimes I like to watch mean movies. It's in the sense of like a Hostel 2, which actually the more I thought about it, that was the movie that it reminded me of most. Because if you've seen Hostel 2, which I had to turn off, it's about, part of it is about this, it does like a Psycho 180 where the main character is killed off. She's really this very innocent, young, inexperienced woman.
Spoiling Hostel 2 for us.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also,
Trashy horror
movie. What a crazy comparison.
Can you listen to what I'm going to say? So she is like she's a virgin. She's like, she's like not ugly, but she's like an average looking woman. She's very meek, but she's very kind. And she gets wrapped up in the hostel thing and they kill her very brutally and awfully. But in a circumstance where she thinks she's going to finally fall in love with someone and have a good life. And it was so mean, I turned off the movie. And it was the same thing I wanted to do yesterday when you showed me this movie. And that mean thing happened to young Jay, who is just a kind boy. I know all the
sweet angel
drama of the movie was caused by his simping, as you mentioned that term. But that was the movie that it made me think of. I think it was just a very effective, mean, but good movie. So thank you.
Delighted.
Nice. Okay. Well, going back to our lack of planning, Jake broke the only tentative rule that we had, which was that honorable mentions had to be up until the current year that we were in the Oscars. No modern movies, otherwise Hot Frosty.
This is why we got two.
Been it. But we got two this
time. Can you
time,
give me a rule book, Captain, for all your rules?
I did. I put the rule literally last night in Discord, and you thumbsed up it.
Like peak Sarah time at like 2:30 a.m.
You did that.
Everyone knows.
I was like, Jake is probably going to forget this rule, and I feel like he's going to put like one of the modern movies.
Wait. We last time we did our honorable mentions. We did our. I guess they were all old.
Yeah.
Damn,
they're all old movies. Yeah. Otherwise,
well, whatever. I'm going to take my victory lap. And,
honestly, take your victory lap, and that might just be a rule that we do away with as we watch more and more movies. I don't know how I feel about it.
No one's mentioned First Reformed. Okay.
It was
I was following the rules.
Yeah, we were following the rules. Because I think the reason that rule was made is that we probably will watch so many like fantastic contemporary movies that many of the other movies for the podcast won't stand a chance against them. unfortunately.
All right, well, everyone forget what I just said about Slow. Movie I've never heard of and never seen.
See, this is a good excuse to be like, and if you want to hear about that movie, you should subscribe to our Patreon.
That's true.
There you go.
That's true. We can maybe
See, it's just an advertising opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. Classic honorable mention and free for all honorable mention. Then we each
broke the rules first. You said 2 honorable mentions.
I did.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
That's true. We are all breaking some rules here because you know what? It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, I get
the
you.
rules. Let's talk about dishonorable mentions.
Oh, yes. Okay. So, dishonorable mention, honestly, just because I want to talk about this movie again, and I've mentioned it already several times in this episode, is Anthony Adverse. I think this movie...
It's the movie that inspired this category.
Yes, it was so wild and like...
Can we call this the Anthony Adverse Award?
Yes!
That's a great idea.
Instead of like the Oscar, the Anthony Adverse Award goes to...
Like the Razzies.
Yes, yes. And that literally, if you go back and listen, like Abby had the idea for dishonorable mention. And I, when watching it, was like, this should have been a Razzie like year. It is just to that level of insanity. It is a like breakneck pacing throughout, going through like this whole man's life. The acting is what you have, like literal cackling villains. I do not know how this movie got nominated for Best Picture.
You pointing out that there's zero resting time in the score, and it is like every note getting thrown directly at you.
Did they have cocaine at that? Were people doing blow at that time?
No idea.
I think they might have.
No
I think they might have stumbled upon it while filming.
So no, it is a crazy movie. And as I said in that episode, I genuinely do feel like if you have fun watching bad movies and kind of like roasting them with or without other people, I think this is a great candidate for it because there's so much material to work with. Literally, even in the first sequence, and I know, Jake, you said you kind of liked the opening section with the marquee and stuff, but in the like fight to the death, so they're literally fighting with, like sword fighting over the love of the woman who was like married to the marquis, but in love with this other guy that she was having an affair with. And she comes down the stairs to see them fighting. And she's like, John, or whatever his name is. And he turns, and at that moment is when he gets stabbed through, and then it's just this dramatic like, oh, and then she faints on the stairs, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a great movie. Like, just from the get-go, it is so ridiculous. And then I have to shout out Olivia de Havilland also, as using opera to distract from any awkward situations that she gets into.
She ever wanted to be with Anthony Adverse, to be honest with you.
I love that movie. It is terrible. So dishonorable mention, the Anthony Adverse Award. First one.
Yes, we're definitely keeping that. What a great idea, Abby.
Yes.
AAA.
Good.
All right, Abby, your dishonorable mention.
My pick is Trader Horn.
Oh,
Another
shit.
Batshit.
It's completely batshit. The whole like white princess, sexy baby.
Yeah.
The completely made up animal facts. The fact that people literally, I was gonna have this as Anthony Adverse, and then I was like, oh right, people literally died making Trader Horn.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I have to mention it. It's such a worthless movie. It's beyond worthless. I don't.
Or one out for Ranchero.
Unlike Sarah's, where I'm like, okay. Yeah, maybe go watch this movie if you like
right. Trader Horn, no redeeming quality.
Do not watch Trader Horn. It's crazy to me that it got nominated. It is crazy to me that it's not one of the movies that we have lost to time.
Yes.
It's probably the most problematic movie. Well, yeah, I think it is.
The fact that people literally died making it is what actually pushes it over for me, because it is such a waste, quite literally, for what? Like, terrible.
You have human death, you've got animal torture. Like it's
not good.
You're the first white man to see this mountain. Okay, thank you.
Okay, gracias, señor. Throw that whole movie away. That was it was very, very bad. So I'm glad that you called it out as a dishonorable mention.
Well, my dishonorable mention, I think, might be like less funny than your guys. It just really viscerally pissed me off.
Mhm.
And it was, surprise, a Best Picture winner. You want to take a guess?
Oh, is it Cavalcade? No, you liked Cavalcade.
No, I like Cavalcade.
You and
Not
Hitler.
the political beliefs behind it.
Oh.
The great Ziegfeld. I did not like the way they took Myrna and William, my two favorite acting power couple, totally clipped their wings and made a movie about like the audacity of capitalists and how they lift all boats with them. They might fuck you over, but they're the Logan Roy like prime drivers of reality and life. And I'm like, fuck that. I don't like Ziegfeld.
This is a
all
great
he
pick.
does is
it's
he exploits everyone around him. He fucking lies. Like, even in
And
the
it's not
end, he
even
has
fun to watch.
It's not.
No. I mean,
cake
a
sequence
couple
was
of the
pretty cool.
performances were cool. The cake was cool. The dancing on the tables was cool.
Watch
like
the
I
clip
said
of
when we
it.
watched it. Watch those clips. But the movie itself, what did they do to my William?
Yeah.
What did they do? I'm standing over him. He's bullet ridden, and I'm just disgusted that he agreed to this. I hope they gave him a big fat paycheck. I'm going to try to forget about it.
This is a great pick for dishonorable mention.
It is, yeah. It is a bad movie. I think it's good that I feel like I picked a bad movie that might be worth watching. Abby picked one that is worth completely forgetting about. And then Jake picked one that is not worth watching. Like, it's bad. It's just bad.
No.
Yeah.
But
it
has been
detracts
lauded
from
by
everyone
Tom.
That has
involved.
been lauded, but yeah. All right.
All right. Are we
So-
ready
That was the
to
same year as
announce the top
Dodsworth,
three?
right?
It was
Sorry.
the same year as Dodsworth.
So that's
Yeah.
a crime.
Crazy.
I know.
That is a crime.
I know. It's literally what else? I just need it for my own sanity. Also the same year as Anthony Adverse. So like crazy that that one also didn't win. So weird.
The three of them in the ring
But
together.
it won so many other. It was nominated for so many other things.
It literally every other
who-
award.
Who was
Crazy.
who was the winner here? Really?
All right. So I
Right.
feel like we had less overlap overall than I expected because some of
Which is
the
great.
movies that I thought
Mm.
would be overlap ended up as like honorable mentions. So I think that's great and just speaks to how like good movies are getting and how they can speak to different audiences. But it does make me very curious to see what our cumulative point system spits out.
Yeah.
How do we do this? Do I have
Abby-
to do anything?
No, Abby's
I'm
been
gonna
taking care of it.
Do we want to do okay? So I could do top three, or I can do like anything that has like, a significant number of points. Either or.
Is it possible to do a top 5 or would it be like top 3?
Yeah, we can do top 5.
Let's do
Yeah, we
top
can do
5.
top 5.
Yeah,
That
let's do
might be
okay.
nice to
podcast
mirror
top 5.
what
Right.
we're doing.
So tying for, I guess, slot 4 and 5 is going to be Stage Door and Dodsworth.
Okay.
So,
Fair
and
enough.
then for our third top spot, we have A Star Is Born.
Okay.
Then number 2 is Dead End, and number 1 is 5-Star Final.
Yay! Finally! It gets the respect it deserves. What a good outcome. I didn't come in
Were
here
you guys
thinking
in
5
charge
star
of the
final
voting
was
booth
gonna
in
win.
Florida in the year 2000? Should I blame you two for the timeline
Stop
we're
the
on?
count.
Yes,
You're
stop the
Tanner,
count.
Stop the steal. I'm just kidding.
This
It's
is a good list, though.
It is a good
Yeah.
list. It is
Yeah.
a good list. And I feel like a large sampling of various years, not only the last 5, but just
Mhm.
throughout the 10 that we've watched, which is really nice. Really good. A lot of
Oh,
more
We've
recent
been
ones,
doing
but
this for 10 years.
10 years. Yeah, crazy. Yeah. But all right.
All right.
All right, well, I guess
That's
that's it. All right. Well, everyone,
Okay.
thank you for bye-bye. Thank you for joining us for our second video bonus. I'm gonna be honest, I always look forward to these, especially the more movies we watch. I'm just like, how is this gonna change over time? So I hope you stick with us, obviously, in 5-ish months for the next one that we'll put out, but also for our regular episodes where you get to hear our actual discussions about these movies and many, many more. So thank you. Please be sure.
More.
So many more. So many dozens, hundreds of movies.
Dozens more.
These are just the cream of the crop that we've been talking about, but there's a whole mountain of shit.
We've been suffering.
Exactly. So join us in our suffering. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you again. Bye.
Bye.
All right, I'm gonna stop.
Great job, guys.